Hey guys, it's Joe Bird with Remax Advantage Realty and the Pakula team. Today we're going to talk about closing costs. So closing costs are basically the cost of doing business, whether you're buying or selling. So as a buyer, your closing costs are 4 items. Half of the transfer and recordation taxes, which are required by the state and the county, basically covers, it's basically another tax, if you will. Your loan fees, so that's based on your lender, usually discount points, origination points, things like that, processing fees, etc. So we'd have the transfer recordation taxes, loan fees. You're going to have title fees. That's going to include title insurance for the lender and for yourself. Your policy is optional, but highly recommended. It basically covers your ownership interest in the property. So if there was any defect in title, any break in the chain of title, then you're going to have an insurance policy to help cover that. Very rare that you use it, but it covers quite a bit, so it's definitely advisable to get it. And then the last item for your closing costs as a buyer are prepaids and escrows. So there are certain things that are prepaid and postpaid. So for example, you're going to reimburse the seller taxes on the property they've already paid from the date of settlement through the end of the tax cycle. So you're not paying for their taxes, you're paying for your taxes from the date of ownership, you're just reimbursing them. Water is postpaid, so the seller is going to give you money towards water, so that's going to kind of offset there, as well as your escrows, which is money that goes into your escrow account to cover your future taxes and future insurance. So those are your buyer side closing costs. As a rough rule of thumb, it really depends on purchase price, county, lots of things go into it, but 3-4% of the sales price kind of is a good back of the napkin math on closing costs as a buyer. Closing costs as a seller, you are going to have the other half of the transfer and recordation taxes typically. Sometimes one party pays all, but most of the time they are split. You're going to have some small title fees. You're going to have a closing fee. You're going to have like a payoff fee or a wire fee or something like that. Obviously, your mortgage payoff is part of that, but that's not really a cost. And then the third is the real estate commissions. So historically speaking, real estate commissions would be paid by the seller. They would pay to the listing broker, and that listing broker would agree to pay a portion of that as a marketing fee or marketing expense to the broker that brings the buyer. So seller's closing costs, real estate commissions, half of the transfer and recordation taxes, and some small title fees. Back of the napkin math, 6-7%. Again, depending on county, and lots of factors go into that. But again, back of the napkin math, 6-7% would be a reasonable estimate for total closing costs as a seller. Those are required to be paid in cash. At least let's go back to the buyer side. Required to be paid in cash. At closing, it cannot be financed. It can be negotiated that the seller would cover money towards the buyer's closing costs. In this tight market that we've been a part of, haven't seen much of it, a little bit here and there, but for the most part, buyers have been responsible for their own closing costs. You can use gift money. You can, pull from a 401k. There's lots of ways to, access that. Hope that helps. Help you understand closing costs, both as a buyer and a seller. Feel free to call me. I'm happy to run specific scenarios for you. I've got calculators. I can give you very detailed, can never be 100% until we get to settlement table, but very detailed estimates. 443-538-3899 is my direct cell. Call me anytime. 443-538-3899. Take care, guys.